this fight believing Ian Garry is going to beat Islam? Because it's starting to feel that way. Just a little more and a little more. Charles Oliveira, just to throw a name at you, a guy that knows everybody, has the right to an opinion. He said Ian Garry's going to win. That's interesting. Ian Garry is a stand-up fighter from Ireland who idolizes Conor McGregor. So now we know everything we need to know about Ian Garry. He's a sharpshooter. He's going to use his hands. He's going to use his kicks. He can't do any jiu-jitsu. But then somewhere along the way, he started training with Damian Maia. And it was an interesting coincidence because he ended up on bottom against MVP with his back taken, but was never in trouble. So then we're going to go, okay, great. You had problems grappling with this guy, MVP, who's not a grappler. You got real big problems now because you're going to fight Rakhmonov, who's going to expose everything that you don't know. And it turned out...
With just 3 days remaining before Islam Makhachev and Ian Garry meet at UFC 330, the focus has moved beyond early predictions. The final training sessions are complete, the fighters have made their positions clear, and now every comment and reaction is being examined closely. The main question is simple. Can Ian...
Renato Moicano, Dustin Poirier. As much as Dustin Poirier is a legend of the sport, they're not as dangerous as the guys I've just mentioned. Not only that, every single one of them is bigger, longer. Javkat was 18-0 and 18 finishes when I fought. Carlos Praches had an 11-fight win streak by knockout when I fought him. But when I step into this octagon against Islam Makhachev, I'm going to prove to the world why I'm a shadow.
Can Garry force Islam Makhachev into an unfamiliar type of fight, or will Islam establish his own style before Garry gets comfortable? There are several factors that make this matchup difficult to predict. Distance, timing, wrestling, clinch work, defensive reactions, cardio, composure, and the ability to adjust during the fight could all play major roles. Even the Faceoff has attracted attention, with fans studying their body language, eye contact.
A lot to talk about for every aspect of this fight. Now, the striking, Ian Garry, what are the obvious things? Very tall, the tallest opponent that Islam has ever faced to date.
Yeah.
Habib and Islam also said that he's very hard to hit because he moves a lot. You know, he tends to run, and Islam said the only thing in camp that I really haven't enjoyed is having to chase fighters down because we're preparing specifically for Ian and how much he uses the cage and kind of disengages and only really re-engages on his own terms.
Right.
But Islam's also a great striker in his own right. I think because his grappling is so good, he doesn't get a lot of credit for being a really good striker, and he actually is a very good striker. So let's start there. You know, it's going to be open stance mostly, left-handed for Islam, going to be fighting out of southpaw. Ian fights orthodox, so we're going to have an open stance likely for the majority of the fight, which I know you love to break those down.
Yes.
So what are you seeing on the striking in this one?
Yeah, this is really interesting. Ian Garry is obviously a great striker.
And overall confidence. But experienced observers understand that a face-off does not decide what happens inside the cage. It only gives a small indication of how each fighter is dealing with the pressure before competition begins. Makhachev has built his reputation around controlling the direction of a fight. He can combine different parts of his MMA game and make opponents deal with several threats at once. He can use...
Come on, Savannah.
3, 2, 1, face off. Face forward, please, guys. Perfect.
Thanks, boys. Thank you, guys.
I wouldn't be that surprised. These are the two best guys in welterweight division, and I think it's a tough fight. But again, we're talking about Islam Makhachev. He's getting a little bit older now, but he's still in his prime. I've seen multiple guys say how strong he is. Once he gets older, guys, they don't seem to be able to escape. I can't think at any point that Islam is going to lose. Islam Makhachev.
Use his striking to create reactions, close the distance, enter the clinch, and then transition into takedowns. That combination makes it difficult for opponents to focus on defending only one aspect of his game. Garry presents a very different challenge. His strength comes from making opponents uncomfortable.
That punching and kicking Irish kid had spent some time in the wrestling room, right? I mean, he just looked better than we knew that he was. Enters the 5-round club, deals with it. And one thing that he had to deal with that night, Ian Garry has never fought where he was not bolstered up and he was the guy. Ian Garry's never done a ring walk where the audience knew this guy's overwhelmed. He's done that to other guys, but he's not been in that position. How does a guy do? Guys act one way when they're the favorite. but they seldomly act the same way as an underdog, and vice versa. Some guys will do their best work as underdog. Some guys actually get drawn down when you got an audience saying, I don't know, this could be a hard one. That seeps into them. But it didn't seep into Garry. So how are you going to beat it?
At long range, he is capable of managing distance, drawing reactions, and forcing opponents to reach for him instead of allowing them to settle into their preferred positions. Because of that, one of the biggest tactical questions will be who controls the space inside the octagon. If Garry can maintain distance and repeatedly make Islam
A great striker, and that's how he's been able to win most of his fights and get to a title shot. But Islam Makhachev's striking is actually slept on, and it's largely because he comes from Dagestan, and everybody knows Khabib was the guy who set the precedents, and they have great grappling from there. But the Dagestani strikers or fighters are becoming really high-level strikers. Just look at Usman or Magomedov.
More knockouts than any other method of victory.
Exactly. So I am actually loving how Islam's striking is coming along. His kicks are great. He's got really good discipline with his jab hand. So whenever he does throw a combo or closes distance to try to land some strikes, when he exits, he's really good about putting a jab in your face just to sort of keep you at bay. It usually doesn't land, but it's really good to get something out there and in the line of fire from what Ian Garry or anybody else in the past.
That he could force the champion to spend more energy than expected. But if Makhachev can limit Garry's exits and establish the range where he is most effective, the fight could quickly take a different direction. Patience could also become extremely important. Neither fighter necessarily needs to rush into a major exchange.
Oh man, that fight, when is gonna be that fight? October, I think? October, August? So, man, it's hard to be against Islam Makhachev, you know? I think he's super good. Looks like the division fits perfect to him. Ian Garry has an amazing footwork, amazing head movement, a really good distance. But I don't know, man. I think I'm going with Islam Makhachev.
Both have reasons to make the other uncomfortable first before fully committing to their preferred approach. Then there is the wrestling battle. The threat of Makhachev's grappling can affect much more than just takedown defense. It can change how an opponent stands, moves, strikes, and reacts defensively. Garry
give you $10,000 right now to bet on that fight. Where are you putting it?
I think the odds, because of the style, favors Makhachev probably. You know, stylistically, he's a freaking nightmare to fight for anyone. He's, I think, right now the best pound for pound on the planet. But Ian Garry definitely has all the chance also on his side to do it. He's a very good striker. He's very long. He's great grappling, a great grappler as well. But he need, I think, to find a way to keep the fight standing, you know, like, and to use his style to his own advantage.
Will need to make Islam work for every takedown attempt. If he can consistently defend those attacks while forcing Makhachev to spend energy, that could become increasingly important as the rounds continue. Cardio is another major part of the equation. Wrestling exchanges and repeated takedown defense can consume energy in a very different way than striking. So the fighter who looks fresher late in the fight may not necessarily have started with better conditioning. He may simply have used less energy dealing with the parts of the fight he wanted to avoid. Mental control will matter as well. At this level, one mistake can completely change the direction of a fight. A fighter may enter with an excellent game plan but abandon it after getting hurt or finding themselves in an uncomfortable position. Staying calm and continuing to follow the right decisions could be just as important as physical ability. For Garry, the pressure is significant. Winning would not simply be another victory on his record. It would be a major upset and could completely change how people view his career. Makhachev faces major pressure of his own. Another successful defense would further support the argument that his style remains one of the hardest problems for opponents to solve. Most professionals seem to agree that both fighters have a realistic route to victory, but those routes are very different. Garry's ideal scenario is a fight where he can keep the distance under control and use his range to his advantage. Makhachev would prefer almost the opposite situation, where Garry has to constantly think about takedowns, defend the clinch, and deal with pressure. As fight night gets closer, more predictions are being made, but they should be viewed carefully. It is easy to select a winner based only on reputation or assume that the fighter with more tools automatically has the advantage. MMA does not work that simply. Styles, timing, preparation, and in-fight adjustments can all change the result. The fighter who recognizes and responds to the opponent